Dr. Nihal is a powerhouse of insight and experience in the world of marketing and strategic leadership. As a founder of Axellerus Consultancy, she brings a decade of experience leading multinational teams across the MENA region, now channeled into mentoring businesses with depth, clarity, and most important, integrity. Her transition from being a global executive to a personal, purpose-driven entrepreneur reflects a journey of reinvention. I'm so happy and delighted to welcome her to my podcast today. And I really am excited to hear about her purpose, her journey, and what she wants to do in the next stage and phase of her business. Hi, Dr. Nihal. How are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you, Armin. It's lovely to see you as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I love bringing, some personal relationships into this space and into this room, especially because I know each individual as a person. And when I know there's something really amazing about their story, I want to share it to the wider audiences and to our community. And, it's really nice that you all say yes at the drop of a hat for me. So thank you. Thank you for that.
It was at the drop of a hat. And thank you very much for having me on. It's a topic that's very, very close to my heart, leading with purpose. So it's something that I live every day. And so that was also very encouraging when you asked me, one of the reasons why I didn't hesitate for a moment.
And it's so amazing that even with knowing each other in a very fragmented manner, we've met, 2 to 3 times in a few years, or 5 years. I met you 5 years ago. And
yes, I believe so, yes.
And now we're here, we're on the podcast, but we've somehow had that connection. And I know that there's going to be a lot that I'm going to learn from you today. But since we've really, met a few times, I don't really know what your background is. So let's start with that.
With pleasure.
Who is Nihal? Where is she from? What does she do? Let's start with that.
With great pleasure. So I'm Dr. Nihal El Daly. I'm Egyptian. I was very fortunate to have a totally multicultural upbringing where I did some schooling in India. I did a lot of schooling in France, mostly in Paris, growing up in my formative years. I studied business administration, undergraduate and MBA, and then followed that with a doctorate degree in competitive strategy. I started my career as a financial consultant and then moved very quickly to Unilever, where I spent the majority of my career in marketing, building brands, building categories. And I've grown over 22 years with them to become the first female Middle Eastern vice president. So my last position with them was regional vice president of marketing, sitting on the board of a multi-billion-dollar company across many geographies. Had a wonderful journey with Unilever. And then most recently, I've set up my own boutique marketing and strategy and also talent development consulting business called Axellerus Consultants. And so that's where we're at today. I have 2 lovely young boys who are now taller than I am, 16 and 18. One of them has just finished school. And very excited to talk more about my journey today with you and about purposeful leadership.
Amazing. So this new chapter of entrepreneurship, not new anymore for you, but I always want to know what was that trigger. And to most entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, there is a sort of a tipping point or a trigger or that aha moment.
Yeah.
When that switch happens.
Yeah.
With the new chapter of your life.
Yeah.
As women, we have many chapters, right? Many evident chapters.
Absolutely.
Motherhood, marriage, even career switch like this is a big chapter. It was for me. So how have you switched and what does this chapter feel for you compared to the corporate world that you've come from, pretty much a vast majority of your
Absolutely.
career?
Yes, yes. Well, you don't realize at first what the trigger was. I think you reflect on it as the years go by, and then it becomes much clearer. I believe because I'm driven by growth. I'm driven by growth in business, personally. That's what excites me. Growing categories, growing markets, growing brands, and also, of course, stretching myself personally is what really drives me. So I believe, after 22 years, which is a very long time, I felt that I needed to grow a little bit differently, perhaps accelerate my growth differently, impact my industry differently. And when I reflect back, I think this is truly what inspired me to make that jump. Now, to address the second part of your question, which is, how does it feel now? It feels exhilarating. At the beginning, it was a little bit daunting,
Yeah.
of course, because I was in a great company, fantastic position, very highly appreciated, highly awarded, also with a huge machinery that supports you. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs find this piece a little bit difficult when they make the shift to entrepreneurship, is that you don't have this huge machinery behind you to support every part of your function. But also that is the part that I found exhilarating as an entrepreneur, which is to get much more involved in every part of the business, to have a lot more flexibility, to wake up every morning and be able to make a genuine and very quick impact, rather than, having to go through 10 layers of approvals or there are still some constraints, of course, when we come to client strategies, etc. But I found that I'm able to thrive and grow and impact at a much quicker pace, which is really something that drives me.
I would assume so, because it seems like your pedigree, you started off your career in one of the biggest, most established institutions. I say institution because you've got a lot of learnings as well from it, right? And organizations, one of the leading companies. It's a dream job for anyone. And when you start with that, you carry on the legacy in your own path as well. The values, the ethos, as well as the working culture. So I'm sure a lot of what you've learned at Unilever, you have implemented in your own business. And that has also helped you gain those level of clients. So with this kind of legacy that you've had in early on in your career, Nihal, what it would have done is somewhere a lot of efficiency and a lot of professionalism in your own venture, which I think I can relate to very much, because I had a similar kind of an experience with my business as well. But there's always going to be some challenges. There's always going to be some wins and some losses that you learn from and wins that you cherish. So in the beginning, tell me about one or two of those wins that really got you saying to yourself, yeah, what I'm doing now, I'm supposed to be doing this. And the losses that made you learn things.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important question, I think. And certainly if I reflect on what I've learned from my corporate career, especially with an institution like Unilever, yes, I am very grateful for the learnings, for the way that it has structured my thinking, for the way that I've learned to very deeply understand my customers and my markets. Together with my doctorate degree, I think this has really sharpened the way that I approach my understanding to problems, my understanding to corporate challenges, to consumer opportunities. And
there's one win that you're really proud of.
Absolutely. So without mentioning the client, because unfortunately a lot of my business is very confidential, so I can't always, talk about it as much as I would love to. But my first win, I was particularly proud of because it came through my reputation. I didn't have to. Actually, most of my business comes through reputation, not through hard selling. So I come to people's minds when they have a specific opportunity they want to address or a challenge they want to tackle. And one of the nicest things about this opportunity is that I got a phone call out of the blue to say, we're stuck, our growth has stalled, and we'd like you to come in, take a look at what we can do together. What was particularly interesting is that it was a separate industry from FMCG. And I always say marketing and strategy is industry agnostic.
Absolutely.
People sometimes ask me,
And similarities
and differences, and actually grow your industry in a different way, in an unconventional way.
Of course.
And the biggest win for this client of mine, which I truly cherish, is also that after I helped them with the strategy, they brought me back to implement the strategy, and then to coach their leaders on how to implement the strategy. So we went all the way into how do we set KPIs? How do we translate the strategy into actionable outcomes? Who's responsible for what? And that part of my job I adore. So I love seeing things in action, seeing things in motion.
And that's where the legacy comes from, right?
That's where the legacy
so structured when you're working in such an institution.
Yes.
And then you win that.
Yeah. So I'm very fortunate that my most of my clients are very sticky clients over the years. So it's not just one project. They keep coming back to me for different things to support on that project, on other projects, because they feel that we are an extension of their team, that we're not a consult.
What is the longest you've had a client?
One of them is still ongoing now. It's been 5 years. It's since the beginning almost.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, full on. Sometimes they need me or ad hoc projects, but there's always a relationship where they can call on me for advice, for refining of planning, for challenges that pop up, and I'm always happy to help. I think that is.
And does the expertise that you provide to them kind of channel into the business strategy as well? Because marketing, if it's not, most of the times it's a cost center in most operations, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that's an expenditure only. It doesn't directly result in revenue if you don't have that mindset, first of all. And most leaders don't have that mindset. So how does that work for you? Because if majority of your work is consulting. And when you go in and then you come out, how much of it is business-led and strategy-led?
That's a very, very good question. And thank you for actually allowing me to elaborate on this, because yes, there is sometimes a bit of a misconception, much less so as time progresses and as people see the benefit that marketing is a cost center. But actually, in this day and age, people understand that marketing cannot be delinked from business. And one of the things I enjoyed the most about my career at Unilever is that as a brand manager and a marketing manager and a marketing director and VP, I was not solely responsible for marketing. Exactly. I was a business leader responsible for the entire P&L. And that's what excites me. It's the business aspect, the growth, top and bottom line, and everything in between. And I think I'm privileged that this is what I bring to a business. So it's not about marketing per se. Even when somebody comes to me with a marketing problem, I ask the business question.
Exactly. So I think that's so important.
How has that impacted your growth? What is your P&L? How is your portfolio diversified? Is cannibalization going to be positive or negative for you, profitable or not? And I think this is perhaps why my clients want me for a longer period of time, because I ask the tough business questions and I support it with marketing expertise.
So there are those who actually, Nihal, would understand and appreciate this. But there are those, and now we see a lot of those, especially because having a startup is now a fashionable thing.
Yeah.
So when you do deal with startups, and I'm sure you have dealt with startups, was there a particular peculiar one which was sort of not really, which was challenging, let's just say that. But not only startup, was there a different mid-sized company? And do you have that experience where, you'd like to share some of the problems that made you learn?
Of course,
in that space,
so many challenges, so many challenges. So let me mention a couple of them as a watch out also to other entrepreneurs. So some of them are related to people, the majority of your expertise is in this area or that area, but they're on the contrary. I mean, the more you are diversified in terms of industries, the more you can see different patterns who genuinely are not. And that's
self-proclaimed.
Yes. So that's very, very dangerous and very dangerous for the clients. I can normally see through that quickly. Some of them truly do not have the expertise at all. And some have the expertise but can't be bothered to exert it with some clients. So they'll give you, the most junior resource, or they'll throw you a report and run away. So it's very important to understand the pedigree of the people that you are dealing with.
Yeah.
What gives them the right to actually support you? Because these mistakes can be extremely expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Expensive is an understatement.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I've learned to pick those out very early on. What I find also quite challenging as an entrepreneur is that because I'm very forthcoming with my ideas, I'm very forthcoming with my support. When I put together a proposal, it's normally truly,
above and beyond.
Yes, there's a lot of effort in there. And every time I tell myself, I'm not going to do this again. But that's who I am. I mean, I
want to give value.
You want to give value. And those clients, perhaps,
don't
I have not continued with them. They sometimes take you for granted that, that it's okay to go, I'm very flexible, going for the project to go for a longer time or a shorter time, etc.
You understand that the nature of the business is such, especially in the category, that there might be an evolution from where you started off and where you've evolved.
Yes, and most likely what happens is that you start off in one place and end up in a completely different place.
Absolutely.
And that is part of the exhilaration of being an entrepreneur and supporting my clients in this way, because I'm able to actually give them a very versatile type of support. So all the way from the corporate strategy to the marketing strategy to the content strategy to implementing all of those, we can even do route to markets, we can do, market development. So it's a very, very versatile stretch. On some rare occasions, I've had clients who keep going back and forth, wanting more value without committing to a relationship with you as a consultant.
That's one of the biggest challenges of every consultant.
Yes. I think either they don't see how much effort is put in there, and so it's easy for them to say, please give me a little bit more before I can commit.
How do you manage that?
With great difficulty, I must say.
Yes.
Because I tend to offer more. I want to support. It excites me to be able to help, to be able to impact. But it does take its toll. It does take its toll, because when the project doesn't materialize at the end, it means you have invested all of this time, all of the team's time, all of the extended team's time. I haven't regretted any of this so far, but I think as entrepreneurs, we have to be very mindful. And I believe, the more you deal with clients who are aligned with your values, I think the less you are exposed to those kinds of issues.
Exactly. And how do you define your values? How would you define, how would you identify your values are aligned with your clients' values, per se?
So, first of all, I mean, I tried to walk the talk. So when I established Axellerus, we actually spent quite a few weeks discussing, what our purpose is, what our mission is, what our values are. And I have it very, very specifically lined out and expressed. It's on my website if ever you want to take a look. Yeah. So I wanted to really walk the talk on this one and show my clients and my colleagues how powerful this clarity can be, without delving into a lot of details. But one of the top values is integrity. Part of our purpose is to support clients who want to make a difference, to a positive impact to the world around them. And I think this is something that genuinely excites me. And I've been very privileged so far to work with clients who absolutely want to do that across many different industries, many different categories. And I think these are the clients where, some fantastic work can be achieved because there is this congruence, if you will, of values and purpose.
Do you have a background of entrepreneurs in your family, or the mindset of being an entrepreneur? And there is something, as we say, as the entrepreneur mindset. Was it always in you, or did you develop it, or you feel that, you've always wanted to be your own boss? Was it just that, or was it something else? How did you come around in your entrepreneurial mindset? Because 8 years in, Nihal, you're already a seasoned entrepreneur. You've seen the downs, you've seen the ups, you've seen the pitfalls, you've seen the mistakes and everything else.
Yeah.
Was it always in you think?
It was. Reflecting back, I think, again, when you're in a very competitive corporate environment, you don't see that. You see that when you step out and step back and look back at how you've evolved as a leader. It was always there. I always looked at how can we do things differently? How can we launch brands in a different way? If we're already at 80% market share, how can we grow? How can we grow the market? How can we grow the segment? So I was always asking those more difficult questions, driven by my passion for growth and excellence. But yes, it was always there.
So with Axellerus, you focus a lot on strategic marketing consultancy with depth. What makes your work ensure that you're doing something purpose-driven in marketing with your clients as well? What is that one thing that you will say, this is my checklist, and that's why I'm going to work on this brand?
Yeah. Well, I think, to be honest, for every brand, you can build purpose. So even if purpose is not, when I address a client at first, if the brand is already established and the purpose is unclear, we always help to build that into the brand. Because genuinely, Armin, I honestly believe that purpose drives value, also financial value. And research has shown, I've always believed that, but more recent research has shown that purpose truly drives competitive advantage, which drives market share, which drives the numbers. It's about business as well.
Yes.
I had the privilege of working on brands such as Dove, for example, where we have actually seen the numbers. Consumers more and more so. So the younger generation now, it's been proven they actually are happy to pay a little bit more for purpose-driven brands who stand for something, who stand for contributing something back to their environment.
I think this is a very good contrast to the previous generations where they just wanted to identify or aspire, be associated with brands. So the brands were giving more of the aspirational value.
Yeah.
But now it's not about aspirations. It's about what can the brand do for me and what is the brand doing for the society at large.
Yeah.
And that comes from the fact that every brand needs to have a layer of impact in what's doing.
Yeah, I think consumers now are more informed than ever before. I mean, they have everything at their fingertips.
Exactly.
They can compare. Also, the competition is absolutely fierce. There's so many brands out there. So how do you stand out?
How do you stand out?
And being genuine with your purpose. And genuine is a key word here because, again, a lot of brands talk a big game.
Yes.
But when you come to dissect, what the brand truly stands for, that's the true, asset test for consumers, whether they can see the brand behaving in the way that they define their purpose.
And purpose is a long game. Defining your purpose, owning your purpose, and enabling that within your marketing strategy or your business strategy as a brand is a long game. I'm a marketer. I know that as well. But there are those clients who want it yesterday, right? Who want results yesterday. What did you do with them?
I would say you can actually get results very quickly with purpose. very, very quickly because you can build an immediate competitive advantage. And I think clients sometimes don't understand is the link between the direct link between purpose and growth, purpose and profitability. So it's not a nice to have. It's how you will stand out in this very competitive, very difficult market with consumers who are extremely demanding and will become increasingly so. And I've seen this over and over again that, yes, it is a long game, but you can also get immediate results because the lack of purpose is also very, very expensive.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You told me that you were one of the few women in leadership back in the day at Unilever, and you were one of the first on the board in the region as well. That's amazing. That's really good. That's saying something, not just about you, but about how the region is evolving. Now, what advice would you give to other women, especially those who may feel like they're too late to flip the coin or too late to start something of their own in this environment?
First, let me say it's never too late. Never too late. I've seen women evolving and thriving in their careers at a much later age, and it's happening more so now than ever before. I was very, very privileged to be the first woman from the Middle East to be promoted to vice president in this region in a very difficult and competitive male environment. My advice is always to think of yourself as a leader, not as a female leader specifically. I never qualified myself as I'm a female leader and they're male leaders. Although I was often the only female in the board, very, very often. And it can be daunting, I think.
And how large were those boardrooms, if I may ask? If you were one of the only women in the rooms, especially in the boardroom, how large was that?
It ranged from perhaps 7 to 15 people, depending on the size of the organization.
And you were one of 7 or one of 15?
Yes.
And you were a woman?
Yes.
Now, while you say that you did not really feel that difference from a state of a gender perspective, is there a valid benefit you see today when there is a necessity, a mandate sometimes even, in most places, that there has to be equal representation or a ratio of representation?
Absolutely.
What do you
Absolutely. And thank you for allowing me to clarify this. This is my perspective going in as a woman, and that's what I advise my colleagues, is do not let this, set you back as a leader.
Exactly,
so lean in, claim your seat at the table. And that is, I think, for us women, this is the most difficult thing for us to do, is to believe that we can claim our seat at the table. I also always advise my younger colleagues to be who you are genuinely as a woman. Very often, women believe that they need to become more aggressive. So unfortunately, to let go of some of their feminine qualities to feel that they belong at the table. But then what's the use of diversity? I mean, the whole business case for diversity is that different people bring different things to the table. If I'm pretending to be just like every other person around the table, what value do I add? What impact do I make? So as a female leader, if you're confident in your leadership style, you can actually bring tremendous value to a boardroom.
And while you're bringing value, while you're trying to in some way or the other, evolve yourself, in certain ratios, what are the non-negotiables you think should be some things that you should not even think of evolving into or changing? What were those non-negotiable aspects about you that you would never want to let go or haven't let go?
So, integrity. Absolutely.
So
I will always speak my mind. And by speaking my mind, some of the younger generation think that speaking your mind has to be controversial. It doesn't have to be confrontation. It doesn't have to be confrontation. We can speak our minds and hold our grounds while, still being agreeable. We can agree to disagree. And that is the best way, by the way, to actually put your argument across. Because if you are confrontational, it's much more difficult for your audience to come your way. If you want to convince them, you have to speak your mind in a language they will understand, they will appreciate, and that because at the end of the day, you want to impact behavior.
Yes.
And impact opinions and impact perspectives. And you can only do that if you're genuine and also constructive. So I think that is
Genuinely constructive and
constructive. Be true to your values. So, and I think people truly appreciate that, being true to who you are.
Did you have to unlearn something from your corporate world into your business world, into the entrepreneurship space?
Yes.
And that was?
Happily so. The speed with which things can actually happen. And at the beginning, I was almost in disbelief. Have we already agreed on this project? Are we already moving forward? Have we signed this? And that's very exciting because coming from, a very big corporate machine where, we have to take layers and layers of... So this entrepreneurial, very fast-paced decision-making is an absolute joy as an entrepreneur. And
it
something I have to grow into.
It also becomes something which you then make it as a norm, right?
Yes, absolutely. It becomes
when
norm.
Things don't move fast now, you feel like, why is this not happening? Then you have to take a step back and think, no, the nature of this client or this environment or the industry is not such.
Absolutely. But then again, you bring back this perspective to the clients who might have much more a very different pace of decision making, who feel that this is a refreshing way of doing things, a different approach, especially when it's weighed with some very good examples of why things can work well different. So that's
and in this
exciting.
This day and age, evolution is, again, the change is a constant, but a rapid constant at that. So when we talk about marketing, most marketing now in the next 10 years is going to get redundant, or it's going to get automated. It's going to be taken over by AI. And here you are building, you've built your business. How have you tried to combat or evolve, complement AI?
No, you have to evolve. And I am convinced that marketing is not going anywhere, because marketing is about getting those deep insights about our brands, our consumers, our markets, getting this deep understanding, being very intimate with your customers and your consumers. That will never happen via AI. AI will support us, definitely. And AI is a fantastic tool, and which we are embracing. AI will support all of these things, will support personalization, will support customization, will support consumer and market understanding, will allow us to gain this understanding that I've mentioned in a much more multidimensional way, much more quickly, but it will never replace us. We will always steer. And the way to go is really, and that's what I've been doing with my business and with my team, is that we embrace this. We go on courses on how to use AI to enhance creativity, not replace creativity. It will never replace the creativity in marketing, in strategy development, but it can definitely be a very, very strong tool, and it will become more so. So we have to keep abreast of this, be aware of all the developments and also the pitfalls.
So coming to the last few questions we have today, I want to personally know, Dr. Nihal, what does being driven by purpose mean to you in this season of your life and in leadership?
That's a great question. I went on a beautiful leadership program quite a few years ago with Unilever. It's their flagship leadership program. And we spent an entire week thinking about our purpose. And I believe this really triggered, my coining of my purpose. And it was all around creating positive impact to the world around me, whether it be my brands, my customers, myself, my friends, my families. And that's what I carry forward now in my business. So what I always question is, what is the positive impact that I'm generating to the world around me? And that's why I'm always happy to jump on a mentorship program, for example. I do a lot of mentorship in many different industries, many different ages, a lot of it pro bono, very happily so. So this is really what it means for me, is to leave a person, a team member, a business, a brand, in a much more positive space than they were before they interacted with.
And would that be, you call that your legacy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's something that you want to leave behind,
Yes.
be remembered by?
Yes, absolutely. It's that, it gives me a lot of joy. I still remember, what you told me when you mentored me. I still remember, the advice that you gave me. Thank you for, supporting me in this, that, or the other. When I see brands thriving on the shelf because of an activity we did, because of a realignment of the brand key, when I see a market develop because of a market development exercise where often it means, consumers are better off for that in many categories, that's what, gives me the most satisfaction, this positive impact that I can leave on the businesses, brands, and people around me.
What are we going to see next from Nihal and Axellerus?
There's some exciting things coming up, which hopefully I will be able to reveal to you on our next podcast. So I'm working on a very, very exciting project, which again speaks to my purpose and also speaks to my passion for growth and exploring new markets and doing things a little bit differently. So lots of exciting things happening. This year was a great year for building and growth, and I'm excited to make some announcements soon.
Soon enough?
Yeah.
So we'll be one of the first few?
Absolutely, with great pleasure.
Amazing. So the last part of our talk today is a little bit of a rapid fire Q&A on the spot kind of questions. I'm going to throw some 5 to 6 questions at you. And I just need one word answers in a fraction of a second.
Let's do it.
Ready? Okay. What is the one thing in the morning you do that keeps you grounded throughout the day?
Cup of coffee on my own with some physical newspapers. I'm one of those people who actually still likes so I don't interact with business until I've had my quiet cup of coffee and a bit of meditation.
What does an ideal day look like for Nihal?
Lots of positive interaction with clients, customers, starting with my cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, of course.
But and some challenges. I get excited when there's a challenge, and when I interact with people who are with the same positive mindset as me.
Would you like to work with a brand who is purpose-driven or profit-driven in the short term?
That's a very good question. In my mind, these are not mutually exclusive at all. And that's a big misconception that people have, that if you're going after purpose, you're not going after profit. You can absolutely have both. And what I want to do with brands is to show them that you can have both, that actually purpose will accelerate your profit.
Amazing. One marketing trend that you wish we'd forget about?
Blindly chasing online KPIs. Yeah.
So I would agree. Amen to that.
Yeah. So I just commented on an HBR article recently on my LinkedIn to say, we have to be very careful with the balance of brand building versus marketing performance. Yes, it's very important to have those KPIs, but they have to be reflective of the work that I do on brand building. So those very quick, catchy, and exciting buzzwords in terms of online KPIs do not necessarily reflect the true health of the brand. So please, let's refocus on the core of brand building and use KPIs as they're meant to be, only as support tools to drive at, to guide us.
What would you rather work with, a startup brand or a well-established 10-year-old brand?
Each has their, their appeal and their excitement. I love the buzz of creating something new, but I also love, delving into challenges of existing businesses. And sometimes it's a mix of both. So recently, I've helped a giant organization launch a new brand. So that's even more exciting because you get a little bit of both worlds.
I love your answers, but none of them are one word. I'm trying to think.
Sorry, I have so much to say.
But it's lovely. It's so lovely that I'm not even wanting to stop you. So last one, favorite quote or mantra you live by?
Can I say two? Sure. So don't shrink yourself to fit any space that is not large enough for you. And as women, we often do this. We often shrink to fit a smaller team or a smaller boardroom or even a smaller relationship. I've learned over the years to actually thrive and be in the spaces that are big enough for me, not the opposite.
Yes.
And the other one is inspired by a quote by Sally Shaywitz, which is, be more of a woman in the workspace. You don't have, a lot of women feel forced to take on a
masculine side.
Yes, a different character than they are. And it goes with everybody, actually. Be who you are. Be genuine, be true to yourself. Don't try to, because nowadays, authenticity, truly people look for authenticity. There's very little of it, unfortunately, but it is more valued than ever, perhaps because of that. So be authentic and be true to yourself.
I think one thing that's really coming out very strongly in this entire conversation between us today is Nihal, you're someone who takes or considers integrity a very, very high superpower for yourself and for the people that you speak to and interact and engage with. And everything that you do comes from that. And that's so beautiful and that's so unique these days. Integrity is very hard to keep and maintain when you're running a business in volatile environments. And marketing is one of the most volatile environment and industry. So thank you for being so rooted in your own purpose and so rooted and literally just walking the talk.
I really appreciate the comments.
Thank you so much for being here once again.
Thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for having me on. It was delightful. Thank you.